It was the Africa Club at Dr. Phillips that had essentially done a kind of a pencil drive, and that's a really great project for somebody who wants to kind of make a difference doing something. We took the pencils and, there were stickers and different things over to Africa in our suitcases, and we distribute them on the scholarship day there, and this year it's going to be December 5th. We also had a sports day, and I'm just wondering how many people in this room play sports of some kind. Okay, great. Lots of you. Okay, lots of go ahead. So let's just talk about that.
I don't.
Why do you do it? What's the benefit? What's the thing? Yes.
My mom says I'm not allowed to be lazy.
Okay, so so as it works, would you do it otherwise? Do you think?
No.
No. For you to, okay. Well, is everyone else feel the same? Anyone else? Yeah. It's enjoyable. You had your hand up, I think, didn't you? No, did you? No, I'm sure you did. You sure you don't play sports?
I play
Ping
ping pong.
pong. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel
Great.
great.
Okay. Anybody else? Somebody have their hand up over here. Yes.
Soccer.
Soccer. Okay. How do you feel when you play soccer? Awesome. Okay. What do you get out of it, though? What are you getting out of it? Enjoyment. Okay. Health. Enjoyment. Health. What else? Yeah. Did somebody else here? Yeah. Vitamin E. Okay. Yeah. Exercise. Okay. Yeah.
You get to bond with your team.
Okay. You bond with your teammates because a lot. Yes.
It depends on what sport you do, because like I do kendo, which is a Japanese sword fighting, so I learn about the culture.
Okay, so you can actually learn while you're
It's
doing
Emma.
things. I mean, no matter what, if it's softball or yeah.
I don't play sports, but I hear from my friends that they build teamwork and they build.
You learn how to work in teams. Now, one reason I just want to just come back to this is there's a lot of wonderful things about sports, but again, it's something we sometimes we kind of take for granted because it's sports equipment, coaches, and everything. It can take a lot of money to do that. Sports, exercise makes you feel great physically, emotionally, helps you build teamwork. But for kids in Sierra Leone, think about the boys who, from 5 to 15, they were in the Army. Okay, they got up every day. They didn't come to school. They got their AK-47. They went out and shot people. That might be fun for the first day. But think about then the kids whose parents were refugees that had to move. Think about the kid that didn't have breakfast that day. You see what I mean? How you got a lot of different psychosocial problems. But a place like Sierra Leone, there's one psychiatrist in the entire country for 6 million people. Everybody in Sierra Leone can't go into therapy to talk about their problems. Sports is a wonderful way of healing people. All those positive things, creating all those positive vibes. It helps you feel normal. It helps you feel healthy. It helps you bond with your teammates and to connect to other people. The way they put it in Sierra Leone is that it puts the joy back into life. So sports is important in our culture, but it's really important in their culture, and that's why when we come with student athletes. Like Sarah's a soccer player. This year I'm going with swimmers. I'm not sure if we're going to swim, but they're in charge of the sports day. It's really important, and the kids love it. We have a great time. So, as you can see, this is for the Scholarship Day 2010, most recently, and this is from the nutrition survey. One thing that Mariah mentioned was a lot of the kids just don't eat properly. They often don't have enough to eat, and they don't eat the right things. So one thing we did this past year was try and do a nutrition presentation to encourage people to eat more diverse things in their diet. And that's the school. Okay, now this is the group that will be going in 2011. Mariah's going to go,
It's
and
only half of the group actually.
Yeah.
There's going to be 16 of us.
16 of us. And I just want to ask you, Donna, who's right here, who's going for the first time, what do you expect to get out of the experience? Or do you want her to ask them anything, the kids or their parents, anything for you?
Has anybody been to Africa?
Yeah.
What country did you go to?
So,
Same.
Same.
After Lesotho.
What was the biggest thing you noticed that was so different?
There was a lot of people that were just on the streets, and they were really cultural. They wore like white paint on their face, and there's like more tribal clothing. It was very rural. It's really good for the culture. It's really rich.
Probably it makes you think about things differently when you come back. You know, approach everything differently. Everything you have. Oh, did you want to say something?
I went to Morocco.
Oh, interesting. You probably had a similar experience, just learning about the culture there. And so I've never been off the continent, and I think that I will learn so much from how they learn in comparison to how I learn in my culture and what I've been exposed to, and the different traditions. I don't know, there's so much to learn by leaving this continent and sharing ideas with people who grew up so differently.
Okay. So we'll be going in 2011 and meeting with the kids that Dr. Phillips is sponsoring. So this is a school where Dr. Phillips is sponsoring the children, and we have about 20 students on scholarship. This is two of the kids, this is Francis and this is Victoria. They picked up the certificate by being sponsored for 1 year because you did the 4th grade, the 5th grade, now they're in the 6th grade. And we just wanted to talk a little bit about how much it costs to sponsor the kids for the year. It's only $50, and Mariah, what does that pay for?
That's $25 per semester for the tuition for the whole year. So that saves the family $50 that they can use for something else, which is really important. And it's made a big difference in their households.
So our goal for this year, and the goal that we hope you're going to be able to help us with, is to get this class through towards graduation. So I know the Africa club is going to be doing some activities this year, Africa night later in this year, so keep an eye out. Yeah. It's the 6th grade. 6th grade, yeah. It's a big thing. You know, when a lot of people don't go to school, graduating from 6th grade is celebrated perhaps more than it is when people go all the way through college. Okay, so now we just want to talk a little bit, we've got enough time to talk a little bit about what we mean about informed giving. So Mariah wanted to say some things about this slide.
Well, first of all, let's just talk about the picture. Does anyone know what's wrong with the picture?
A guy is holding the baby.
Okay, there's a guy with a stroller. Let's look closely at the stroller. The truck looks really out of place. Oh, the truck. Well, the truck is just there. That's kind of supposed to be what's wrong, but I think it's easy, yeah. Okay, there's no baby in the stroller. And does anyone know why that is? I hope that's not the reason, but it's a cultural reason. Yeah, I'm sure that they carry babies on the back. So, I saw this and I took a picture of it because this relates to informed giving. There's probably some really good cause, really good nonprofit, whatever, in a different country that they all got together, raised money, and sent strollers to Sierra Leone. And that's really cool, except that they don't use strollers there. So, things that are, if you guys are interested in, you know, helping out different places, is get to know your community. You know, learn about, if you want to help Sierra Leone, learn about the people, what do they do, what are their actual needs. And then, if you're working with a program, you need to evaluate how the program is doing. So that's why we go to Sierra Leone every year and make sure that it's effective and that people are feeling the benefits of it. And then you can actually make a real difference. So these are important things to keep in mind, and I feel like Kids Give does a really good job of doing this. So, some happy kids. Thank you, it's Dr. Phillips. And if you guys want to learn more or get more involved, you can go to our Facebook page, and you can also go to our website. Yeah. Does anyone have questions?
Okay, so that's the formal presentation, but let's take some questions. So could we have the lights up? The lights up? Yes. 7 minutes.
Yeah.
7 minutes. Okay. Yes. This is my favorite part. The light. Yes.
Since the Civil War, have things calmed down, or is there still unrest?
You know, things are dramatically different. I mean, it's nothing like what it was during the war. I mean, the army has been disbanded. They went through something called DDR. DDR is demobilization and disarmament, which the UN essentially helped them do. So people have returned to a kind of a normal life, but a lot has changed because of what happened. So it's not in any way like it was during the war, but there's a lot that has to be rebuilt. Did you see what I mean? All the schools have had to be rebuilt, the roads, the infrastructure, the hospitals, and then there's all the psychological issues and then all the people who didn't go to school, you know, during that time. So there's, it's recovering. It's a recovering country. So, okay, we'll take this question and then I'll go to here.
How many kids are usually local schools?
In Comforting School, there are between 500 and 600, and they have about 15 teachers for that. So the classes are like 50 to 60 kids. And that's a fairly typical school size. Some of the school sizes go up to like 1,000. Comforting School is actually one of the top schools in the country on the national exams. They actually have the top scores. And I think one reason is because they are kind of small by Sierra Leonean standards. They only have about 50 kids in the class, where a lot of the schools will have 100 kids in the class, which is, are we 100 people in here? Almost. Yeah. So, but what typically happens, they're in a building and here in the back, so the kids in the back really don't even see the teacher typically in these big schools, and so it's a very poor learning environment. But yeah, company is 500.
Would intercept the shift and bring the kids back home?
Well, you know, that's a good question. If you look on the map, I mean, the ships could be intercepted anywhere out in the Atlantic Ocean. And the reason they came back to Sierra Leone is because there's a great big harbor there. That's what the British, if you look at British colonization, every place the British went in Africa, they wanted something from that particular area. And what they wanted from Sierra Leone was that it has the biggest harbor on this entire side of Africa. So I think that's the reason why. And that's why they set up a colony. Yeah.
Yeah, the $50 covered and then I drank out from back to
It covers the year. It's $25 per semester. The students also have to have 2 uniforms. Now I notice you guys don't wear uniforms. I mean, at some schools, typically religious people wear uniforms. And most African countries have followed a kind of a European tradition, and so each family has to have at least 2 uniforms in order to go to school. Now, I don't know how you feel about uniforms, but the idea of, what's the idea behind wearing a uniform as people, what do people say about uniforms if you go to a school where you wear a uniform? What's supposed to be the benefit? What's the benefit? Right, it's supposed to make everybody look the same and kind of reduce, you know, differences between rich and poor. That's the idea. But in Africa, saying you have to have a uniform to go to school actually keeps a lot of kids out of school because it's an initial expense. It costs about $5 to have a uniform. So you've got to ask, if you're getting $1 or $2 a day, you might be saying to a family, well, you can have the uniform, but you can't eat for 3 days. You see what I mean? What people have to give up in order to have a $5 uniform. So it's actually a big hurdle, and it's one reason why people don't go to school. But that's the way the system works. Good question. Okay, other questions? We have you finish at in 2 minutes. Now somebody's got to have a 30-second question.
I stepped out for a second, but did you answer what language the schools are taught in?
They're taught in English, and this is kind of an interesting thing. There are a lot of different tribal languages in Sierra Leone. There are at least 16, and then people speak a market language, Creole. But the official language in schools is English. But you can imagine that there's a lot of challenges when you're instructed in a language that actually nobody speaks at home. It makes it very challenging because people either speak Mandarin, or they speak some tribal language at home, or they speak Creole, the market language, and then they come to school to learn English. But they've talked about changing it, but the problem is there aren't enough people that speak any of the tribal languages, so it gives them at least a common mode of communication. So, anyway, thank you very much for having us. Ron? Thank you.
End of bar. Did I what?
You have for social studies. Yeah, who do you have for social
Oh, Miss Schuster. Schuster.